What's up, party people in the place to be? I'm the gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. And guys, this morning I want to talk about Miles Morales. Now, the game's about to drop. The Spider-Man game, Miles Morales, PS5. Everybody's looking forward to it. I know I love the other one, Spider-Man for PS4. Played it for hours and hours and hours on end. I can play it right now, as a matter of fact. So my son and I are looking forward to this. All right, now, there's this article here in io9gizmodo.com where Charles Pulliam Moore is wondering, shouldn't Miles Morales be more at odds with the police? And I saw this and I figured I would talk about it. I would get your opinions on this because it just shows me a little bit more of what's wrong with black pop culture and pop culture in general, because it's all like one, you know what I mean? I'm into the Marvel universe and everything. But if you're a black comic book reader or MCU fan and stuff like that, there's this narrative that says that we're demanding to see the topics of the day and the ills of society be addressed head on with our black superheroes and everything. So let me just give my thoughts on this, right? And the headline says, Miles Morales reforms Spider-Man's relationship with the police when it needs to be abolished. Yeah, you heard right. Miles Morales reforms Spider-Man's relationship with the police when it needs to be abolished. And like I said, this is by Charles Pulliam Moore. I think he writes for The Root sometimes. I cannot stand The Root. All right, so I'm going to just read a couple of excerpts here. And they're, of course, comparing Miles Morales to Peter Parker, where Peter Parker would be more, straight edged and everything, and of course the whole white privilege stuff. Now they're putting the burden of tackling the issue of police brutality and things like that on Miles Morales, because after all, he's black, he ain't no coon, so he should be doing this, right? So it says here, where Peter's game framed the ground level police as his at times unwitting allies, Miles Morales goes out of its way to draw as much attention away from them as possible. It often feels as if the game's creative team understood that a story about an Afro-Puerto Rican teenager teaming up with New York cops would strike the wrong tone, especially in a year that's been defined by protests calling for police reform and abolition in response to the kind of institutionalized police brutality that's left countless innocent, unarmed black and brown people murdered by law enforcement. Okay, how many people out there know how many things are wrong with that sentence? Okay, that is so loaded right there. It often feels as if the game's creative team understood that a story about an Afro-Puerto Rican teenager teaming up with New York cops would strike a wrong tone, all right, with your predominantly children players, all right? It's striking a wrong tone with the kids, especially in a year that's been defined by protests calling for police reform and abolition in response to the kind of institutionalized police brutality that's left countless innocent, unarmed black and brown people murdered by law enforcement. Okay, all right, guys. This is interesting. I'm not saying that there haven't been innocent, unarmed people who have been murdered by the police. I mean, black and brown, of course. I mean, there have been white people too. But let's not talk about that. I mean, that's just a fact. But we're gonna not talk about that. All right, black and brown people who have been murdered. But my thing is, you're saying that they were countless. Like, this is just genocide that's going on here in America. They're just killing us down in the street. I think you guys can tell. It's like I'm a big dude. I'm a black dude. I walk through the streets. I see cops every day. Somehow I manage to not get murdered. All right. But anyway, it's left countless innocent, unarmed black and brown people murdered by law enforcement. I think the most high profile stories in situations where you see black or brown people get killed, a lot of them, they were not unarmed. You know what I mean? Okay, we look at situations like George Floyd and stuff, and like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, for the purposes of this guy's narration, when you do take a study of the people who do get killed in police custody, a lot of them were armed. I mean, I'm not going to argue about that. There are people who were unarmed, but I'm saying this whole narrative of being countless amounts who are being unarmed and mowed down in the streets and murdered, I just don't know about that. But anyway, the more you play the new game, the more you see that it's an attempt to acknowledge our real world realities only goes so far. Ultimately, the game either doesn't have the courage or desire to be honest about the way things are. This is a game. This is a video game. I know when my son and I play it, one of the things that we love is just to go swinging through the city. It's just such a smooth gameplay. You're jumping off buildings and you're shooting your web and you're swinging around. Every now and then you come across a crime and everything, and it's a great escape. I mean, it really is. But this person wants it to be more like grounded and in your face and anchored in the anguish of everything that's wrong, and I don't know, guys. I think they're missing the point as usual. All right, and let me see. Let me go down here. Okay. This is a long article, guys, but it says here in conclusion, all right, because I'm not going to read all of this. Of course, it's going to be in the description box below, so you can check it out yourself. It says, Miles is the black Latinx. Yes, they said Latinx. Now, I know plenty of dudes who do not like that, and women. Miles is the black Latinx son of a slain cop and an aspiring local politician whose entire campaign revolved around making Harlem a stronger, safer community for its residents. Despite the lack of support and resources it's historically been afforded, Miles is also a justice-minded vigilante who knows he can do what the cops can't and won't. Everything about who Miles is as a hero makes it difficult to sit with the idea that he wouldn't have a more complicated and at times negative relationship with the police than Peter does, owing to their vastly different cultural experiences. So just by the mere fact that Miles is black Puerto Rican, he should have a negative relationship with the police. How's that for programming? How's that for predictive programming? And Miles Morales, Insomniacs crafted a more than solid first outing of New York's newest Spider-Man that makes the prospect of future games an interesting one. But if the game studio really wants its next generation to take on New York City's finest web slingers, to feel like dynamic, engaged people at the center of stories worth diving into, it's going to have to do a better job of addressing the way things actually are rather than how we want them to be. All right, that's the end of that article. And also, I guess at some point it's showing you that Miles Morales either unlocks or swings past the Black Lives Matter mural. I'm sure that's something all of us want our kids to see. And, but it's not doing enough, of course, to this author here. And that's a shame that he feels that way, that you want to paint the world as it is rather than the way that you want it to be. I mean, to me, that's the very definition of pessimism, and cynicism. The way the world is subjective. You know what I mean? It really depends on your perception and how you look at it. As someone who grew up in a law enforcement family, I know my view of the police is very clear. It's like I feel like the bad apples that are on the police force, the ones who actually do the brutality and murder that you speak of, I've done videos about that, talking about how I don't recognize them as police. I recognize real police. And I've shown you guys this before. My brother, all right? This is my brother. All right, my brother Tommy, who he passed away in 2009. I miss him every day. And, I have his picture up here on the wall, beside me and everything. But it's way too big, so I'm going to put it up out in the living room. But anyway, like I said, I'm very clear as someone who has law enforcement, in his family, the way Miles Morales does. You just don't hate cops. It's like you understand cops. You understand them a lot better. And you understand how the good ones, the real ones, need our support. They have to get up every day and do this job, and the community that need them, that call them whenever something is wrong, in reality, okay, because we don't have a Spider-Man to call on in reality. In reality, the police are there for us. The good cops, all right? I don't want people coming in here arguing about this, guys. I've already done videos talking about bad cops and good cops, all right? But I find things like this to be dangerous, especially in games that are going to appeal to children, in the mindset that black kids in particular need to see police as their enemies. That is incredibly dangerous because in their interactions with police, they're going to be combative. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to do things that's going to endanger their lives. And that's why people like this can be dangerous to the community when they claim they're trying to be helpful. Think more. Think more about what you're saying. and what you and the energy that you're putting out there. Miles Morales doesn't have to take on, like the paranoia and the misguided intentions, of a community. It doesn't have to take on Black Lives Matter and all of their complicated motivations and things like that. Sometimes a game is exactly that. It's a game. It's something that kids should be doing as an escape, to have fun. But anyway, guys, that's all I can say about that for now. Anyway, the obvious conversation is going to go on, and I encourage that in the comment section. So you can get down there and let me know how you feel about all of this. As usual, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Thank you for rocking with me. This article, like I said, is going to be in the description box below, as well as my Twitter page. So come give me a follow. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.